Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta. No matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. She's back, one of our favourites, and we're going to mix it up a little bit tonight. We're going to try not to mention the name Madueke, but we might. Just don't lose your squaddies. Let's keep it together. Natalie Sawyer's in the house.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Bodies, you're going to absolutely love this. The first thing Natalie said to me when she came into the green room was, I'm here a bit early because I didn't want a yellow card.
I was determined. I was like, I'm not having a yellow card. I'm just not having it. The season hasn't even started. I'm not having it. So, yeah. Hi.
Hi, at ease, Natalie. Can't get a yellow card during pre-season, you know? That would be terrible.
Surely they don't count. You know what I mean? They shouldn't count.
No, they shouldn't count. It's good to have you back at Squad Central. Are you having a nice summer so far?
Yes, yeah, I am. Haven't had a holiday yet. Desperate to get one, but we'll wait and see what happens in August. And once my son's off school, because obviously they're still at school over here. But yeah, all is good so far. Kind of just watched the Lionesses, which was great. What a victory that turned out to be. So yeah, all is good. All is good.
I was going to say, before I get to the Lionesses real quick, does your son have to go back to school before September? Do you remember when we used to go back to school after the summer? It would be like the first week of September. Now they've got them going back mid-August. What's that about?
Well, no, they don't do that here.
Oh, really?
So. He's not going till the first week of September. So we'll get the whole of August off, which is great. Do you know, I just can't wait because doing the weekend sports breakfast like I do on Talksport, I have to set an alarm for that because you're up silly early. In the week, I have to set an alarm to do the school run. I just can't wait to not have to set an alarm in the week. So, I can't wait. He's only got another week to go. So, we're all very much like, I'm terrible as well. I'm one of those that's like, what's the point in the final week? You know, so it's terrible.
No,
like that.
Exactly.
I do send him in, but I am there the whole time going, oh, why can't they be finished now?
I love that. Most of my friends who have kids, that's the one thing when I say they cannot wait for the no alarm in the morning.
Oh, honestly,
it's relentless.
Yeah. I mean, you might not even sleep in, you know, you might still wake up similar time to your body clock and everything, but it's just the idea of I might actually get an extra half hour that I wouldn't normally get. So it sounds silly, but it's the little things, isn't it?
It is the little things. It is the little things. And speaking of relentless, by the way, if you're listening on our audio platforms on Apple and Spotify, please make sure you subscribe and leave a review. We would very much appreciate it. And speaking of relentless, Natalie mentioned them at the top of the show. What a bounce back for the Lionesses. An unbelievably clinical, destructive performance against a Dutch team that looked so dangerous in their first game. Lauren James, the star of the show, a mega bounce back after a horrendous performance, really an uncharacteristic performance from a Serena Wiegman team, Natalie, in that first match.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, look, the pressure was on, wasn't it? Because they knew that if it didn't go well today, that they could have been on the cusp of bowing out. And as a defending champion, you don't want that. You don't want to go out of the group stage. And it's not going to be easy for them to defend their title. We know that. But wow, today, I mean, this Netherlands side were the previous Euros winners, weren't they, in 2017 under Serena as well. So, I mean, obviously that's a long time ago. It's going to be a different team that we're talking about, really. But wow, I mean, England were just fantastic. I mean, forget France, forget what happened in that. You can have your dodgy moments. They've got that one out of the way, and now hopefully they'll get the job done against Wales, and we'll see them through to the knockouts where the competition really gets going.
Yeah, exactly. Harvey, yes, the Club World Cup. What's that? I'm not into it. And plus, I go when my special guests can go. And when Natalie Sawyer is available, you take her, Harvey. You absolutely take her. For those of you listening on replay, make sure you let us know what you think about the show in the YouTube comments. Natalie, we have talked a lot on this show over the last few seasons about your beloved Brentford. A team, a club that has produced some quality players that have gone on to do really big things. And, you were clinging on last season to Thomas Frank. You are a huge fan of his. Of course, you know him very well. You know your club very well, close to everything that goes on there. Before we get to Nørgaard, losing Thomas Frank, are you worried that this could be kind of like when you see those other teams that are in, like what happened to Crystal Palace, over the years, or a yo-yo team? You've had such security in the Premier League now. Are you a little bit worried? And I'm sad that you lost Thomas Frank, especially to Tottenham.
Yeah. Well, look, of course, this is the first time in a long, long time that it feels a bit of an unknown period for us. That's not to say that every season in the Premier League we've gone into thinking, oh, we're going to be fine, because we're still a relatively small club in the Premier League. But, I have to just believe that first of all, the everyone involved at the club, by appointing Keith Andrews, I have to believe they know what they're doing, obviously. And if you look at two of our three past managers were in-house promotions. So Mark Warburton took over from Ray Rosler, and likewise Thomas Frank took over from Dean Smith. So I have to believe that they know that Keith Andrews has the qualities to manage. It's a big step up for Keith Andrews because he's never managed before, whereas Thomas Frank had. Similarly, though, Mark Warburton had never done it, and Mark Warburton had come from a financial background into football. So we took a risk with him. We're taking a risk with Keith Andrews. Was I gutted that Thomas left? Of course. And I had a real empty feeling, that horrible pit, when you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach that things are not good. And when I first saw that Andrew was sacked, I thought, oh no, here we go. I know exactly what's coming next. As it had been obviously suggested. I still hoped that Thomas might go, Tottenham's a bit of a risky one. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I suppose the Champions League is too bigger competition to turn down. Plus, in terms of scale of club, Tottenham obviously is bigger than Brentford. So I kind of get why he's gone there. But I really thought we might get one more year out of him. I just thought he might, just because of how well we sort of ended the season, that he might have thought, there's something to push on with. There's something else that we might be able to go for next season. So I'm a little bit gutted, but hey, we've got nearly 7 years. That doesn't really happen anymore in management, does it? So,
no.
We'll all have huge affection for him, but yeah, we've got to move on, haven't we?
Yeah, I have to say, I think my listeners and I, we have a little bit of a soft spot for Brentford. Maybe that's because of you. And by the way, PW, you're right. She is our favourite Talksport host. There's no doubt about that. In addition to losing your fantastic manager, you're losing your captain, Christian Nørgaard, who I'm personally very excited about. I think Arsenal need more Nørgaards. I believe that he can take minutes off legs and start games as well. I don't think he's just coming into, of course, he's not going to be a starter every single game, but he's coming in to play a big role in this team, especially in the domestic cups, that last 25 minutes, taking legs off our midfield. I wanted to talk to you, Natalie, about him a little bit deeper. Of course, I've seen him play, but I want to learn a little bit more about him, from his mental to his physical, his special traits. We could talk a little bit about each one. But initially, as a fan, losing your captain and your manager, not easy, but especially him. I think some Arsenal fans are underrating this signing.
I mean, I would agree. He has been a mainstay of our team since he's been in the, joined Brentford. What was it, in 2019? He is, and I just think sometimes I think the term steady Eddie is seen as a bit of that's not much of a compliment, but I do see it as a compliment because he's going to do what he's expected to do, which might be that he has to, as you say, come on for the last 25 minutes and just be a pain in that sort of base of the midfield to help the defence out if things are not going particularly well, or that you're up against it, for example. But not only that, when you look at Brentford, he often our build-up play would start with him. There's a lot to like about Christian Nørgaard. He is an exceptional pro. He was Thomas Frank's favourite. When you talk about a teacher's pet, he was without doubt a teacher's pet. All the players would say it as well. But that's because he's just one of those pros that wants to do well for himself, wants to do well for the team, and wants to do well for the manager. What's not to like about a player like that? And there's a lot more you can talk about him, of course. But just initially, we all expected Brian and Burmo to go. Now we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with that. But we all knew it was probably this was the summer he was going to go. So I think we'd all said our goodbyes essentially to him. No one expected Nørgaard to be leaving. He'd just signed a new 2-year deal earlier this year. So we weren't expecting him to leave at all. So that one kind of hit us as well. A bit of a, I'm not saying that one coming. It's gutted. It's gutting to lose him as well. But equally, I think we as a fan base in the main are kind of accepting of where we are in our stature, and that we are a club that sells, and that we give players a chance. We want players to kind of get that opportunity to play in those elite competitions. I think in a way, I see it as a pride thing as well. Like, I'd love to see him go into your team and actually do well, and you are successful with him, because then I go, we're a part of that. It's a bit like David Raya. You know, David Raya's gone to you and he's done brilliantly. And that's what you want to see, I think. And maybe I'm a bit silly and I should be looking at it as a more, as a competitor rather than, you know, just trying to help you out as such. But I don't see a problem with it. I think good luck to him. And I really hope he does what he's exactly expected of him.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to see if this was right, Natalie, and you would know, is he seems so durable. 21-22 season, 35 games, 22-23, 22, 23-24, 31, and 24-25, 34 matches. And one of the things I don't like, and this is what I was saying to our listeners about Gyökeres, he just turned 27 in June, and some fans are like, oh, he's too old. Why are we buying him? Silliness. You see Lewandowski play the way he is at his age. You see Cristiano Ronaldo still going on. Messi's still playing. There's a lot of players that don't have that cachet of those big names that are still playing football. And to me, it seems like one of his biggest strengths is his durability. Would I have that right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that season you mentioned where he obviously missed a number of games. What was it? 20 odd games you said he played. He was missed, obviously, because he would be. And he wasn't our captain then. He only became captain when Pontus Jansson left. But he was missed. But, I mean, Vitaly Janelt came in and sort of did his role and did it well, to be fair. And at one point we were like, oh, how does Christian Nørgaard get back into the team? Because Janelt was doing so well. But you're absolutely right. There is absolutely a durability to him. You know, he's not the most electric, obviously, with pace. You're not getting pace with him, but you're getting a player that covers a lot of ground. I think I saw a stat from last season that he covered the most of any player. So you're going to get a player that is going to go up and down, up and down. So he's going to try and get involved in the attacks, not obviously in terms of necessarily getting on the end of attacks, but he'll do his best to help you with that build up. But he will get back. He will track back as quick as he possibly can, and he will disrupt and he will stop teams. He might not be the best on the ball if he's gone on the ball for too long, because sometimes I think he suddenly doesn't know what to do and players close in on him and then he loses it. But in the main, honestly, I think you're just getting a brilliant player. And I do think, and I'm not saying this of Arsenal fans, because I heard it of Gabby Agbonlahor, who was, but I felt he was just being a bit snobbery, because it was like, well, why would you go for someone from Brentford? And I'm thinking, well, that's just silly, because they didn't mind buying Ollie Watkins from Brentford a few years ago, Aston Villa. So as long as you know what that player is going to do and their capabilities, there's no reason you shouldn't plunder certain teams for these certain players. So I got quite offended when I heard things like that, when I think, don't be a snob, just understand what that player does. And then you can see why Arsenal have gone for him, for example.
I don't know how you cope with Gabby some of the time. Bless him. But, you know, I agree with you. I said snobbery on the show. And, you know, when the club targets a player like Nørgaard, you know they know exactly what they want, right? And we're losing Jorginho, who comes with experience. He brings that leadership as well. And I think in this Arsenal team, you know, okay, he hasn't played in massive finals at the height, but leading a Premier League team, being captain, having that team on your shoulders, he seems unfazed to me. I don't think he's going to melt wearing the Arsenal shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think he's going to relish it, if anything. I think he knows, like you've already pointed out, he's probably not going to play every game like he does for Brentford, but he's going to have a role that's really important whenever he is brought in. And like you say, there's a lot more competitions that Arsenal have to play in than we do. So you're going to have to mix things up. So yeah, he might play in those domestic cup competitions, but he's still another player in through the door that's just a vital cog, possibly in a wheel that you hope will end up winning some big title for you this coming season. So you know, as I say, I think there's a lot to like about him. The other thing as well that's really important is set pieces, as in attacking set pieces. For us, he scored quite a few goals from set pieces, so he's a threat. Because also, I think he's very clever at sort of ghosting around the box, and I think defenders fail to track him sometimes, and so that's why you've seen him score a few goals, popping up with a header here and there, because he's just clever. He's very clever with his play. You know, so like I say, I'm gutted to lose him, but I think, as I mentioned already, it's just another body in, and you just need strength, don't you, in depth at the end of the day. That was kind of what happened last season, where it went a bit wrong, I think, for Arsenal, that you didn't, I know actually Ethan and Nwaneri did well in the end, but, you know, you didn't have the Sakas, and it was just sometimes you need, just need a little bit more, don't you, just to add a little bit of cover.
And Premier League experience as well. I mean, this is why I think some of the fans who have been snobby is like, what lessons have you learned from last season? Our bench was super weak. You know, some players will run ragged and had no energy left, nothing left to give towards the end of the season. And I think a signing like Nørgaard brings a whole other dimension. Of course, Natalie, we remember him for such tackle on our beloved Gabriel Martinelli. Although now Arsenal fans will say, oh, I love that, a player who can get stuck in.
Something he does.
Talk to me about this a little bit. Is good tackling, is he ill-disciplined, disciplined, every now and again has a knucklehead tackle in him? What's the scoop?
I would say it's, how can I put it politely? Gamesmanship. It's game management as well. That's what I would say it is with Christian. I'll be honest, there have been a few times I've watched him and gone, oof, don't know if he needed to do that, or how has he got away with that one? So he will do the tactical fouls, but in the main he does it well, because he kind of gets away with it. And yeah, you're right. If you're the opposition, you hate him. You hate him for that. But if it's your team, you applaud it, because you're like, he knows how to, as I said before, disrupt the opposition. He's very rare. I mean, I can't even remember the last time he got a red card. He got a red card in the Everton game at Goodison, but that got rescinded on appeal. But I'm trying to remember the last time he got a red card. I'm sure you'll find it.
He's only had one red card from what I can see from 2021. And he's had, on average, 8 yellows a season. Only 6 yellow cards in the 22-23 season where he played less games. But in every other season, he's garnered 8 yellow cards, which for the position he plays is not too bad.
It's worse. I don't think it's bad at all, really, because that's not going to be, obviously, you know, he's not been suspended as a result of those 8 yellow cards, because that's across the whole season. So, like I say, I don't want to say, I don't think it's ill discipline. I just think that's my dog snoring, by the way, if you can hear him.
Oh, he's so cute. Oh gosh, Vinny and Vesper would absolutely love him. As you know, look, this is Vesper, our little one of our,
I love,
modeled on her. And then Vinny, of course, encourages everyone to hit the like button, wearing his homage to Super Kev and the Dicky Bow. Oh, they would love the little one. He's so cute, that little face.
He's got a lovely little face. He's a rascal most of the time, but he's lovely. What was I saying? Sorry. Yeah, listen, I just think he's very clever. He's a clever player. So those kind of tactical fouls that I mentioned doesn't always end up with him earning a yellow card. He's just, I think, quite clever with it. So yeah, and like I say, the fact that he's such a good pro, and at 31, he's still got an engine behind him. He's still got something to give. And I'm with you. I'm sick of all this. Oh, he's too old now. I mean, God, I'd love to be 31 again. But
me too. Love it.
But, I do think players are going deeper into their careers, as they get older. I think we're not seeing players retire as early as we did. And I imagine someone like a Christian Nørgaard, who, let's remember, really has only been playing top flight football for 4 years with us, going into our 5th season now. He probably wants to extend that for as long as he can. So he'll do everything he can to ensure he's as fit and as ready to go as is needed.
Yeah. No, I'm excited about it, and I'm really looking forward to it. Your dog getting a lot of love right now from the squaddies in chat as well. They love dogs. They're good. They're good people. Very good people. A couple more on Nørgaard, and then I want to get your general take on some Arsenal talk and general football talk and stuff. We talked about the mental attributes: leadership, teamwork, resilience, determination, passion, composure, the physicality, speed, strength, stamina, aerial tackling, positioning. Speed, you talked about. Positioning. The gamesmanship to me that you just talked about, so important. Kai Havertz is brilliant at doing that, has brought a little dark arts to the Arsenal. Benjamin White is really good at doing that. A couple of other players learning along the way. I'm glad that Nørgaard has that. What about up here? One of the things about Jorginho was right place, right time, tracking back, no speed at all, got exposed in kind of cup competitions. But does he have, in between the ears, does he have that footballing, knows where to be positioning wise, Natalie? Is he smart like that?
I mean, I would say so. Absolutely. I think, like I say, like when he got injured that season that you've mentioned before, we had that worry of who on earth can replace him. And as I say, Janelt came in and did a really good job. Since obviously Nørgaard's got back fit and everything and the new season started, he was number one. As I say, that might have in part to do with being the teacher's pet. Thomas Frank absolutely adored him, but it also is to do with what you know he can bring to a game. You can't be a teacher's pet and be useless. You've got to have both. You've got to be, you know. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I definitely think, of course, there's something up there. He can read the game. He'll read the game well. He'll spot the danger. Now, as I say, the only problem you have is he might not be as quick, but that doesn't mean he's not a leader in the sense of perhaps telling other teammates what they've got to do as we're, you know, in defensive mode, shall we say. Yeah, honestly, there's so much to like about him. As I say, he's a steady Eddie, but I see that as a good thing to be that, because that means they do everything right in my mind. They're hardly ever going to put a foot wrong. They're always going to do their best. They're always going to want to be the top pro that they can be. You know, and he's a quiet guy. I don't know much about him and his private life, really. He keeps himself quite quiet, really. But anytime I've spoken to him, always sounds very intelligent and just quite mature in his thinking. And as a captain, another great sort of spokesperson. So it's just another leader, isn't it, in that dressing room potentially. Look, he's not going to walk in and take over. Of course he's not. But he's just going to be a sensible head in the dressing room. Yeah.
I can see Mikel Arteta totally fall in love with this guy. To me, he feels like the kind of player that becomes, it's very subtle now, the signing. Not very many Arsenal fans are talking about it. But hearing you and seeing the way, you know, he was with Thomas Frank, the way he was with his teammates, I feel like he will become one of a very important signing for us that will have an effect in, you know, key games and stuff like that. And I don't mind, you know, stuff like this. I think it's important that we have players like that. Martinelli got over that pretty quickly anyway. So you heard it here. You heard it first from the great Natalie Sawyer, host of Talksport Weekend Breakfast. All you need to know about Nørgaard. What haven't I asked you that you think we should know about him? Or what's your message to the Squaddies and Arsenal fans? Like if you had to wrap it up in 30 seconds and maybe something I didn't ask you about him.
Oh, good question. And I think we covered quite a lot with him, but like anything, all transfers, all managerial appointments come with a risk. But I would say I can't imagine that he'll be frightened by this step up in any way. I think he'll relish it. I think he'll love it. Give him time, though. Don't expect wonders. I say that. He might be brilliant. But like we've already mentioned, we're not expecting him to play every game like he did for Brentford. He is Mr. Reliable. He will do the dirty work when needed. Like you mentioned, Kai Havertz. Oh, he's annoying, Kai Havertz. But you see, that's why you love him and that's why we don't like him. Likewise, Ben White, similar sort of thing. We all hate those type of players when they're on the opposition team. But when they're on your team and they know how to just cause problems for the opposition, then they are just brilliant. But that's what you want in your side. So, like I say, just love him. Love him like we do.
We'll look after him for you.
Look after him, you know, like you do with David Raya. And the good thing is, at least he knows David Raya. Let's not forget that. So there's always a connection there when you're thinking about playing out from the back. And if you're going to use Nørgaard at that base, which I suspect you will do, then Raya already knows his strengths. So you've already got a great connection already. So it's just making sure that he works with everybody else, which of course he will.
Yeah. And by the way, an absolute bargain for the price when you look at the money these days, isn't it? I almost feel like we should have given you a little bit more just because I like Brentford, but he's a total bargain. All right, Natalie, before we let you go, I'm going to get your take on a few other bits and bobs. It would be rude not to get your expert opinion. The window so far, underwhelming, overwhelming for you? What do you think?
I think well, I mean, obviously it started early, didn't it? Before the Club World Cup with Chelsea and Man City doing their business, which they needed to do before that competition. I mean, it just feels as though it's Chelsea dominated, doesn't it? I mean, it's like, they've signed another player.
Going to get to that.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, I think it's all right. I think we've seen some. The interesting thing is, there's the Brian and Burmo thing that hasn't yet happened. Is that going to happen? Brentford have said we don't have to sell him. We could keep him, and he'd be happy to stay. So they say. So that would be a coup if that happened. But equally, his contract I think runs out next summer, so we might want to cash in. I think obviously there's a lot more still to come, isn't there? It's going to be fascinating to see what happens. Obviously, you've finally got Zubimendi in, which we were waiting for. I know Nørgaard is pretty much done. We're just waiting for the announcement, aren't we? That hasn't quite been announced yet.
He looks really good in the kit. I mean, he really suits the kit, doesn't he? Yeah,
he does. Yeah, I see it. Yeah. I mean, it helps when you've got a tan like that, doesn't it? I mean,
some Arsenal fans are.
I'm too basic.
Some Arsenal fans are so cheeky. Like they're like, "Oh, that turn's gonna fade soon, dude." I mean, there's such killjoys. What are we gonna do with them? Zubimendi's come through the window. Now, I got to ask you this because as an England fan and also, with Tony Cascarino being your wingman, you guys talk a little about everything. I made a comment on X. I'm at war with Arsenal fans on social media, which Natalie, I shouldn't have started. I didn't do anything. I just said my actual tweet, and I'll read it to you, everybody. Is I still say tweet. What do they say? My actual X. I said, I understand fans have transfer preferences, but to kill a player before he's even worn the shirt and played puts insane pressure on him. No lessons learned here. I'm hoping Madueke has a strong mentality to prove everyone wrong. If you become a gunner, we've got your back. And I truly believe that. I'm not sure if there's been a more polarizing of all the Chelsea players. I thought Kai Havertz was pretty bad. And I get it. The beef is the 50 million plus. And my argument on that is English players cost 20 million more than any other player would in the marketplace. It's just the way it is. You watch football, you watch England play. What do you think, Natalie? Are you surprised that Arsenal have gone after him? And are you surprised they're going after another Chelsea player?
Well, first of all, I think your tweet was perfect. I have no idea why anyone would react to that in any kind of negative way, because it's true at the end of the day. Why? Why do we have to be so negative before something has happened? It's bizarre to me. And I get it. There's rivalry there. And, do you really want to give money to Chelsea? But you're getting something good in return. I liked Noni Madueke last season. I thought was great. He had some really outstanding moments, especially at the start of the season. And kind of tailed off towards the end, and it seemed as though he might have had a few issues with Enzo Maresca, so he was in and out of the team. But I thought his link-up play with Cole Palmer was brilliant. Obviously I'm interested to see how you'll utilize him, because obviously he plays more on the right, but I guess he can play on the left, so that's an option. I like him. I actually like him. And you're buying someone. I mean, how old is he now? I don't even know how old he is, which is terrible to say. But
23, I think he is.
So you're kind of buying for the future as well, in the hope that he's just going to get better. At the end of the day, when it first came, this news story came out that they were looking to sell him as such. I was thinking, well, why? Why would you want to sell him? But I kind of understand why they have to with all the bloody buys that they've had.
500 wingers they have.
Exactly. They've got too many options. And also that, as you mentioned, it's a homegrown player, so they're going to get more money for him. As I said to you, any kind of player through the door is coming through the door because your team, your director of football, all of those people put together have done their research. They've worked out that they think he will be an asset. So why on earth is that a negative? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and I do, Ian. As you know, we defended Ramsdale from the get-go, the poo-pooing. Ramsdale, yes, he's not at the club anymore, but he helped us get back on our feet, was part of the team that got us back into Champions League football. And I just think we need to be a little bit careful with, with this. And some of you didn't appreciate the fact that I mentioned Jason Cundy, a good friend of the show, who comes on even when we batter Chelsea, by the way. Who talked about Madueke and that he divides Chelsea opinion as well. But Jason gave him a glowing review, and he said that of some of the wingers, he'd rather Madueke stayed. And I accept Jason's opinion, folks, because Jason watches him play week in, week out, and has to comment on him on Chelsea TV as well. So for me, hearing him kind of be a little bit bummed maybe that he might be moving on, I thought was quite interesting. Natalie, another player who is kind of sparking up a lot of interest, and apparently we've got a good chance, or we've accepted personal terms, which depends what day of the week it is, but he's been a superstar in South London, single-handedly together with Wharton won the FA Cup for Crystal Palace. I think, again, Arsenal fans, well, if we get Madueke and Eze, then I'm fine with that. Eze to Arsenal makes total sense, does it not?
I mean, again, Eze is just fantastic. I mean, how can you not love Eze? Especially as towards the end of last season, he was scoring goals. And I think that's something that maybe is always lacked in his sort of game, if you like, that he can be brilliant as a creator and he gets shots off, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't really got the numbers properly. But towards the end of last season, he was scoring goals. And I just think, again, winning the FA Cup probably has just lifted him that little bit more. It's given him a bit more of a spring in his step. He can suddenly realize I can be an incredible match winner. And yeah, I think it makes absolute sense. I think if anyone gets Eze, or if Crystal Palace hold on to it, it's a coup, because he is an extraordinary player. He is magical with what he can do. So yeah, again, crikey, if you get him, and you get Nørgaard, and if you obviously got Zubimendi, the striking option, we still wait to see if Gyökeres is going to be that one. But it will actually turn out to be a very good window for you, I think, if you can get all these players through the door. Because at the end of the day, these are players that in the main are elevating you, I would say, or certainly bringing in that competition that you need.
Mm-hmm. I agree. If you get Madueke, Eze, and you've bought in Zubi, Nørgaard, and you get Gyökeres, amazing. Of course, Rodrigo is the player that everyone really wants. And actually, there are some Arsenal fans. Someone did a poll, I think Harry, our good friend Harry Simiu, did a poll on his show where he said, would you rather Eze Madueke or Rodrigo? And it was a much, much closer than people think to get the two versus Rodrigo. Who his stats haven't been setting the world on fire, but I still think he's a quality type player who could be like an Alexis Sanchez type exciting player for us. But we shall see. And also, I don't know, I want to win the Premier League, and those boys know how to play in the Premier League. And I think that really matters where we're at right now. Natalie, is it a make or break season for Mikel Arteta for you?
Well, like I say, if you could get all those players in, it kind of could be. Because that's a lot of money being spent and a lot of expectations being built. Look, what you achieved with the Champions League was brilliant. Obviously, getting as far as you did. I know it ended in heartbreak, but it still was pretty an extraordinary competition for you all to be in. I do think the pressure is on him. Now, I'm not all in favour of sacking a manager. Of course, I'm not. But I do understand if Arsenal fans start getting twitchy, thinking, well, hang on, this is deja vu again. We're not going to win anything. So I do think it could be a really interesting season if things don't go well for you. And by saying well, I mean, by Brentford standards, finishing second obviously is exceptional. But you need to win something big, I would say. And that's not League Cup or you could say the FA Cup, but I know a lot of people would poo-poo that still. So, yeah, I think it is time that he's got to deliver something. Absolutely.
Do you think we're third favourites? Do you put City ahead of us next season? Kind of beware the wounded animal, and they've done some pretty good moves in the window. They lost to Al Hilal in the Club World Cup, but I don't think that's going to count when the season starts.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think the Club World Cup, it's just irrelevant. As a competition, it's irrelevant. I don't care for it. I just think it's a horrible money-making exercise that just makes the richer clubs richer. But do I make you third favourites? I don't know, really, because as much as I think Man City are clearly going to come back, and they've got to come back stronger, I don't know. I think this competition that they've just been in could mean by the end of the season they're going to be exhausted. And I know, they've got a bigger squad in the sense of he was able to rotate and things like that, but you do have to wonder if exhaustion comes into it come the end of the season. So I'd still put you in second favourite for me, possibly, but only based on the exhaustion thing. I think that is a factor. A lot of people wouldn't think it, but I do. I think player welfare is a massive, massive issue. And, I fear what the World Cup could be like, because there'll be so many players exhausted by the time that comes around. So, yeah, that's my only issue with City. I think they'll come good, and I think they'll push everyone. I don't think Liverpool will walk it as well as they did last season, but I do think if it all clicks for you, that you definitely will be up there. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of mileage on these player legs. It's really astounding. I know that I can't remember who it was who said, I think maybe it was Simon Jordan who said, well, they've demanded more money. Maybe it wasn't Simon. They've demanded more money, and agents have demanded more money, more wages. Therefore, clubs have to play. The game has to figure out how to pay for all of that, right? And so they're somewhat to blame. But still, I think they're also utilizing that as an excuse. Football makes a lot of money regardless. And the fact that like Chelsea are in this final and it's July, 10th it's going to be, 11th.
Yeah.
And the season starts in 4 weeks. And they haven't even done their club preseason. I mean, I guess this is their preseason, but they're still committed to other places, right, Natalie? It's crazy.
No, I mean, it absolutely is. I'm so against this competition. I think it's ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great to sort of, we're all very Premier League centric, aren't we? A lot of us over here. So I kind of get that in some ways it's great to learn about more South American teams and African teams, and teams out in the East, for example. It's great to learn about that. What Auckland City, what a story that is as a amateur side. It's just brilliant. Loads of amazing stories. But my fear is a competition like this in the main will just be the similar sort of teams getting in who are just going to make more and more money. That means the disparaging kind of levels between the top end and the bottom will just grow and grow and grow. It feels just a bit like the Super League that was mooted a few years ago, but obviously is just in a sort of slightly bigger, grander scale, because Gianni Infantino is just rubbing his hands and loving every minute of it. But if you go back to the start of last season, I'm sure it was Cole Palmer that said he was knackered from the Euros. He found it difficult to get back up to speed, and it took him a while to do so. That surely is going to happen again for maybe Chelsea or City or whoever, other teams as well across the board. That's why you're hearing Real Madrid wanting their game, their first La Liga game, to be rescheduled.
Moved.
I think City and Chelsea had both asked for that as well, but I think the Premier League said no. That because they know that they don't have enough time to recover and go again. And I think the science says you've got to have at least, was it 2 weeks, at least rest? I think that's right, maybe 3 weeks. They're not going to get that, a lot of these players. They've got to get back straight into it. It just does not make sense to me at all. Does not make sense.
This is why, when you kind of look at Saka and how much football he has played, England, Arsenal, getting the hamstring, and then poo-pooing like the signing. I get it. Like, you don't want Madueke, but you've been screaming for a Saka reliever, guys, for ages and ages. And let's just take a deep breath on that and try not to go too nuts on the Madueke thing until we know more and with what's going on. But you wanted a Saka relief, and Waneri's seen, in a different position. And I think Waneri needs to kind of earn his stripes the same way Miles Lewis-Skelly has too. Just put your head down, don't make demands, and play football.
I don't get that at all, Sophie. I do not get how an 18-year-old can suddenly demand so much when you've just broken into a team. Now, look, when we say they're his demands, are they his demands, or is that his people's demands? We don't know the full ins and outs. But yeah, I'm with you. Earn your stripes. Just keep being in there and just doing, what is expected of you, and you will grow and grow and grow, and those rewards will come. But I'm just not in favor of any kind of.
Yeah, I think because they saw what Obi got going to United, Hutchison, obviously Miles getting his deal. It's a lot different for Miles. He's become like a starter now. That is undeniable. I do think that agents, like you said, Natalie, if they can get a little extra for themselves, they'll make it about the player. I mean, I've been a publicist in the entertainment industry forever. And a lot of the times when they ask for stuff, it's generally for themselves. It's not for the talent. I can assure you.
Oh, I know. You're absolutely right. The talent tends to be the ones that want to do help out and stick around for as long as they want to. But it's the others that are telling them, come on, you got to leave now. Yeah, I'm with you.
Exactly. Yeah. You have you get the talent on the ground and they're wonderful. And you're around talent your whole career. And I think it's true to be the case. Every now and again, you get the odd prick, but, that's just the industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So Brentford for the FA Cup or the League Cup next season. How about that?
That would be marvellous. I mean, could you imagine what a story that would be? I'd take either, but I'll go with the League Cup just so that we get that one out of the way and then we concentrate on the league. But yeah, what a story that would be. I wouldn't even know. I'd still be celebrating for months and months.
You just call Rebecca Lowe up and get some tips, because she said the same thing to me. She goes, I don't know what I'll do, Sophie, if we end up winning. I wouldn't even know how to celebrate.
I know. I mean, it was one of those, wasn't it funny? That final was one of those where I was watching thinking, I want Palace to win. But this was at the time that we all knew that 8th potentially could be a place in Europe. So I didn't want Palace to win because we still had that outside chance of finishing 8th. And then obviously they did, which was amazing. And what a story, and brilliant. And they've bloody well deserved it, I must say. And yeah, so I was just torn on it. But of course, you love that. And I don't want to say underdog because they're not like a, Wigan. Wigan was probably more of the underdog story when they won it. But you know what I mean? It's just nice that it's upset the apple cart and that Newcastle won the League Cup as well. And yeah, it made it all just a bit different this season. Made it good.
Real quick, would you rather win the FA Cup or be relegation, right? But you win the FA Cup? Would you rather Premier League survival?
Oh, that's a tough question, that one, because I've heard that kind of question before, and of course I'd love to see us win something like the FA Cup because that's a ridiculous story. But the bread and butter is the Premier League, isn't it? And the only way you kind of improve really is by staying in the Premier League and getting more of that financial reward. I know we keep talking about money, but it is inevitable that is the big reward of staying in the Premier League. So, I want to win the FA Cup, but at this moment in time, I would probably stick with Premier League survival just because I think the money is really important to a club like us.
Right. I can. It's just become too important, hasn't it? It's just become too important.
I know, it's awful, but
it was a horrible question to ask you. Sorry.
No, it's a fair question. Do you know what it is as well? I don't want the pain of a season like that, of being, just being in the relegation zone and fight your way. I just don't like the idea of that, because you have to remember, ever since we've been promoted, we have never been lower than 16th. So we've never been in the relegation.
Unbelievable.
It's an incredible story. Yeah, touch wood, we never experienced it. And I just don't want to go through that. The season before, when we did have all our injuries and we did have a bit of a battle on our hands, I didn't enjoy it at all. So if we were actually in the bottom 3, I would hate every second of it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. All right, do me one favor then. Promise me that you won't dislike Arsenal more because Thomas Frank is the gaffer at Tottenham now. Are you secretly going to be rooting for him and stuff?
No. Do you know what? I do want him to do well because it's Thomas Frank, and we're all we all adore what he did for us, and he'll always be that legend. And I was lucky. I sent him a message and said that he'll always be a legend, and what he's done for us, the memories that he's created, you know, and he'll always be welcome back. But now he's a Tottenham manager. So as much as I don't want him to be sacked within a few months, and I don't want it to be disastrous, but I'm not going to be a Tottenham fan just because Thomas Frank's there.
Okay.
You know,
All
you
right.
can have affinities with people. It's like Ollie Watkins. I love seeing Ollie Watkins do well. If Brian Mbeumo goes, I want him to do well, but not against us, obviously. But in the main, I want them to be success stories. Like when Said Benrahma went to West Ham, that didn't work. I was gutted for him because we loved Said Benrahma, and I was just sad that it didn't work out the way we all hoped it would work out. So yeah, ultimately, like I said before, if players move on and they've done well for us and they've deserved this call up, or I'm sorry, this move, likewise with Thomas Frank, want them to do well, but they've gone now. They're out the door. We've got a new lot to support.
Epic. Right, that's our girl. You avoided a yellow card again, Natalie. That's twice in one show.
Not a red at the end of the day. Oh, crikey.
Brilliant stuff from you. And Squaddies, I know a lot of you are already following her, but make sure you follow at Natalie Sawyer across social media, and tune in to her and Tony Cascarino at the weekend on Talksport. My favourite duo. Absolutely brilliant. And also, it's not just football. They talk about all sports. And that's what makes Natalie one of the best broadcasters in the business. Natalie, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you all. Thank you.
At ease to you and Squaddies. Kevin Hatchard has moved the show to next week, but I'll let you know about that on YouTube. Say thank you to Natalie, and I'll see you guys in a couple of days. Stay tuned to the YouTube community, and I'll let you know when the next live show is. Until then, don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. At ease, everyone. Thank you, Natalie. You're the best.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.